In the last video where I made the pinch roller retention clip out of a piece of heat shrink tubing, the second piece I tried was, of course, that Sony VCR, and when I plugged it in, it didn't work. So I thought, perfect, now I have something to fix. So that's what we're going to do in this one. We're going to open this one up and we're going to see what's wrong with it, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get it to work. Let's check it out. This time we're looking at a Sony SLVN60. This is the one that I featured in the prior video where we replaced the retainer clip with a piece of heat shrink tubing, and this one is dead. Let's find out why it's not working. So first things first, we'll plug it in and just start measuring some voltages in the power supply. So it's plugged in. As you can see, there's nothing, there's no power. The clock is totally dead. So first things first, let's see whether the power supply is outputting any DC voltage. So I'll go over to the secondary side of the power supply and we'll see that we actually do have some voltages there. 13 volts is there. So the power supply is running -7, -7. We do have some voltages. So why the machine's not working? Well, it still could be a power supply problem, but it could be any number of things that's wrong on this, and it may not be repairable. But we'll see. We'll see whether something can be made to work on this unit. How's this regulator look? 13, 0, 0, 1.3. Might be a regulator problem right there. So this is the PQ12RD08. It's a 4-terminal regulator, and basically the pins are as follows. It's got an input and output, and the ground, and a control pin which turns it on and off. So on the input I have 13 volts, on the output I've got 0. Of course, be ground here, and this one here should be the pin that tells it to turn on and off. And it's got 1.4 volts on it, so it should be in an on state. Okay, the control's gone to 1.9. It was 1.4 before. And now it has come on. .8 volts on it now. But it had no voltage before. I'm curious as to whether maybe there's a cap that's gone bad in the power supply and one of my voltages is a little bit off. Well, I guess the only way to find out will be to pull the board on this unit and just take a look at what's happening underneath the chassis. At this point in the game, I don't know whether this is going to be repairable or not, or whether I'm even going to bother, but we'll start on it. Because this being a bottom of the barrel VHS, it certainly is not worth putting any time into. As I say, it was given to me. Unplug all the controls. I give it power again just to see whether we had a shorted control on it, because certainly a stuck or shorted control could lock things out. So still no time display or anything, so this unit is totally dead. So we'll remove the back cover and then remove the board from the base. As you can see, these machines here were just mass produced very inexpensively and just snap everything together. They were not designed to be serviced whatsoever. They were designed to be, if they broke down, and they were past the warranty. They were just designed to be tossed out. Even under warranty, this was after Sony stopped servicing their own products and they just went to exchange. So if under warranty the unit broke down, there was a big sticker on the top of the box that said, if this unit is not functioning properly, do not return it to the store. Call Sony, and they were just doing a replacement at that point. That's the warranty on these. Nothing got repaired. Didn't matter what went wrong. If it failed under the 1-year warranty, they just gave you a new one. So a couple of screws hold the base on. A couple of screws through the chassis as well. And the whole unit should lift up off the board. The whole board should lift out, actually. Don't know what year this VCR would have been, but it was probably around the time that I left the business. I don't recall ever working on any of these ones, and if I did, it was just for something very, very minimal, like cleaning the heads. I don't know if there's a date on this one or not, but I get the suspicion made in Malaysia. But a gem star unit, so it had VCR plus, but I don't recall ever servicing one of these. So it was probably made right around the time that I flew the coop and got out of Dodge, as they say. I left the business in 2003. Okay, so there's the unit out of the base. Power supply is over here. This one with the belts below it. Got to pull the board out, or pull the chassis off the board to get to the belts. I noticed a little spring has come off of the chassis on this. I bet you it shorted something out. That fell out of the bottom. Let's pull the chassis out and see where that spring came from. But I bet you that's what happened, is that spring came off and it shorted something out, and that's why it doesn't turn on. Probably a open fusible resistor or something. So let's just pop the mechanism off of this one. I think that's all that comes out. Is there anything else? I think that's it. It just lifts off at this point. I could be wrong, but I'm usually not. Okay, so where'd that spring come off of? That fell off the board when I lifted it out. So there's a good chance there's something that's burned up in here. I see a couple of resistors that look like they've been toasty right in the front here. But first things first, where did that spring fall off? Plastic broke. Oh, it's this. That is broken. What the heck is that? Tape arm, tape brake? I think that's one of the brakes. Looks like one of the tape brake pads that stops the reel from turning. That's what it looks like, and it probably goes right down in here somewhere. See, that's a brake, or is that the, no, it's not back tension. That looks like a brake pad. Does it go on the, it's not that one, because there's that one for the capstan motor. And this engages, looks like with the cam, there's grease on it, so I think it probably engages with this cam. But where does it sit? Does it sit down through here? I think it sits down through here. Does it go down in here like this? I think it goes down in here. I think that sits in there right like that. Yeah, that's where it sits. And this piece that's broken off probably loops around that clip right there. I get a sneaking suspicion that's where it sits right there. You see that? That's exactly where that goes. Now, can I attach it? Not that it's going to make any difference if I don't get the power to come back on, but if I do get the power to come back on, it's going to be necessary. This piece broke off right there. You can see where it broke. So I wonder if I can get the end of this spring to get through, like just drill a little hole into the plastic and stick the spring through it. Pop a little hole right in the edge of this plastic here and just wind the spring through the thing and see if that will do anything. Little screwdrivers are good for this type of stuff. I don't know if this will hold it or not, but we'll try. Let's just try to thread this through the hole that I just drilled through. Okay, so maybe that will do it, maybe it won't. Worth a try. So let's just reset this piece in here and hook the spring around where it goes. Okay, there the spring is in place. So that part is fixed, but still got to figure out why this thing's not turning on. So let's just check the board out here. I see a couple of resistors here that look like they've been a bit warm, so maybe we blew some protection. That spring was sitting down in here somewhere, shorting something out. So hoping that it's just a resistor or something that's burned up here. 109 ohms. That doesn't look like it's burned. Although those resistors are a bit dark. Just going to try powering the board up without the chassis in and see if anything lights up. Nope. Do we have any light from the infrared? Oh yeah, so there's light here. We can see the infrared lights lighting up here, you see? These ones are lighting up. And what about the other one on the other side? This one's lighting up too. But the main tape sensor in the middle is not. 110 ohm resistor, two 220s in parallel with each other is 110. 11.3 volts on one side, 2.9 on the other. I think that's voltage drop is a little bit excessive. So let's take a look and see what is connected to this side of these resistors. Where does it load to? Looks like this one's coming back towards this transistor over here. It's coming back to this transistor collector. Could be this IC as well that's bad. I'm just curious whether they have any Zener diodes or diodes that are shorted. Something in the power supply here is, or even a resistor that's gone open. These are 0 ohm resistors. Here's a fuse. This is a replaces an IC link. This is a fuse. PS600. I think that's which one it is. Or is it this other one? Anyway, this one over here. This is a fuse. And it is measuring 500 ohms. So I do think that that fuse is popped. Let's just remove this circuit protector. That's likely what shorted out when that spring fell on the board here. It popped the circuit protector. So let's just pop the circuit protector out. That's a pun, right? Pop the circuit protector, so let's pop it out of the circuit. And we will attempt to find something to replace it with. In other words, a hunk of wire. And yes, I actually will just replace it with a hunk of wire because I don't have something like this, and I'm certainly not going to spend any money to buy one for a VCR that is not worth spending even $10 on. But if we look on Mr. Meter over here, we will see that this is completely open. So a small piece of wire will certainly protect that. Looks like it's like a 1.6 amp circuit protector. So let me find the smallest piece of wire I can find, a little single strand. And that should fix that up. To make sure that my jumper wire is not going to short against anything that I don't want it to short against, I'm just putting a piece of tape across here, and I'll put my jumper wire right across. You see that little wire there? It's thin enough that if there's something that's wrong, it will just pop that wire immediately. So we're not creating any risk here. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is the power supply could blow up, right? But we'll tack that down there and then see if the clock display lights up again. Now, clear off any metal off the bench, and we'll plug this thing in and see if the clock display lights. If it does, then that's a good sign. If it doesn't, then we've got more problems. Make sure there's nothing under the board that's going to short it out. And power. Hey, look at that. I got a display. So, that means I can put the machine back together, and it very well could work. So let's just do that. Not hurt to clean the mode switch on this thing while I'm at it, but think that'll clean it? Probably, but we'll take it apart, do it while we've got it here. Looks pretty disgusting, doesn't it? Get some deoxit and a Q-tip. Wipe out the switch first. Throw some deoxit down here. Throw the switch back together. Tighten my contacts a bit. Throw the switch back together and spin it around a bit. Polish up those contacts. And then we realign the home position. There's a little notch there, and that little notch lines up with it. That way it should be in time for putting the chassis back in. Drop the chassis back into place. We will try this thing before I put it too far together, just as soon as I get a couple screws in to hold the unit together. That phone call will not be for me. Alright. I think this thing is probably far enough together that I can plug it in and see if it goes boom. Well, the drum motor spun up. Will this thing actually play a tape? It could, might. We'll find out pretty quick. I think I'm into the right plugs there.
All sales must be registered with Bose by April 30th, 1999 to be eligible. This spring's promotional show offers our best value ever on surround sound. Premiering this spring on Thursday, February 11th.
I would say that it's working. Woohoo! So now all I have to do is put this thing back together. Where's eject? One of these buttons is an eject button, I'm sure. Pause, rewind, stop, play, fast forward, record. One of these buttons will remove the tape. That's the line input. The eject button might actually be a physical button on the front panel. I forgot about that. Is it? Eject is, yeah, it's a physical button. So let's just plug, well, let's put the front panel back on. Make sure that the lid opens. Yeah, good. Excellent. I think I can put this thing back together. Okay, back cover just snaps on. Somehow, the back cover snaps on. Just like that, looks like. Look at that. Talk about an easy to put together machine. There was probably not a single hand in the assembly line of this. Not one person. I would think that this entire machine was put together by robots. Just the way it pops together, just like that. And it's back together. And I've saved another one from the scrap heap. We'll make sure that all the functions work on it. I'll throw the top cover on it and get rid of it. And I'm not worried at all about any safety issues for not replacing that circuit protector, because the worst thing that's going to happen if something were to catastrophically short, well, first of all, that wire would pop pretty easy, because it's pretty fine, right? It's just a single strand of wire from an HDMI cable. So it's just one strand of, well, it was an HDMI cable, or actually not HDMI, this is LVDS, between an LCD panel and the T-Con board, or the T-Con board and the main board, but it's just one little strand of that. That's what's on there. So that's going to pop pretty easy if there's a short, and even if it didn't, the worst thing that would happen is it would just pop the power supply. So, but I can't see that being an issue. So here it is, playback. We'll check the other features out on it. Okay, got the encoder plugged back in. Fast forward. Or search forward, search back. Pause. Stop. Play. Everything's looking to be working. So, stop. Full rewind. And remember, this is the pinch roller that I put the heat shrink tubing on, and it's working. Fast forward. Play.
Today's customers are finding technology.
Eject. Okay. That one's fixed. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.